I've identified as a buck-toothed kid my entire life.
Oh my god,
You know what I mean?
same.
Yeah.
Bucktooth Mafia.
Mercury, Mercury Stardust. She's a beacon of hope in the darkest night. Mercury, Mercury Stardust. She'll teach you how to make it all alright.
Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals. As always, my name is Mercury Stardust, the trans handy ma'am, and you're tuning in to the wonderful Maintenance is a Drag, where it's one part comedic, one part drag, and one part educational, and I'm messing this up, and 2 parts gay as hell. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. I appreciate you all, and I'm joined by a really wonderful drag king that I'm excited to talk to today. The nationally well-known, the wonderful person who is like throwback style. I don't know how else to say it is other than someone who's just electrifying on stage. The one and only Tenderoni, everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
How's
Thank you
it
for having
going,
me,
Trey?
Mercury.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. You are such a wonderful person. People have recommended you for a long time. Even when I did a weekly show here in tropical Madison, Wisconsin, folks were like, "I should reach out to you." And then I retired. That's my excuse. You can't get mad at me. I retired. I hung up my G-string and I started doing this for a living.
How dare, how dare. Now I
How
can't go to the
dare
cheese
I?
castle.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I feel okay retiring from performing half naked for strangers on the internet because I am a #1 New York Times best-selling author, and I feel like that's a pretty good
Okay.
trade. If I'm gonna put my butt behind me, I better know what I'm
Oh
doing
my
with it.
god, you're like a real
Yeah.
housewife, #1 best-selling New York Times author.
I know. If there's a way for me to insert that in every conversation, I'm going to. And people
That would
can
be
say that
my personality.
you can call me conceited. I don't care. I earned that. Okay,
Exactly, exactly.
Tenderoni, for all those who do not know, how would you describe your drag, my friend?
My drag is nostalgic. It's very much 80s, 90s inspired. It's very high energy, although I am 35, so it's getting to be mid energy because I set myself up with these high kicks and splits.
I'm 36, and my signature move used to be jumping up really high and clicking my heels together. And
Yeah.
before I retired, that was about like an inch off the floor. I was like, no way I'm doing that. I used to jump out of my shoes and dance,
Oh
right?
my God.
No way am I jumping out of my shoes anymore. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot.
aging while being energetic Looney Tune on stage is quite a feat. That being said, how did you get into drag?
I mean, I always like to say I started doing drag when I was in high school. I was a Michael Jackson impersonator when I was in high school, so that's how I started doing
What?
drag. And it's not like I was in high school in like 1984. No, I was in high school in 2002 doing Michael Jackson impersonation, going to school with like glitter gloves, and I just was obsessed with Michael Jackson, like a weirdo I was. So I was always performing like in the cafeteria and just being extra. And then when I moved, I'm from the East Coast. When I moved to Chicago, when I first got exposed to my first drag king, his name is Dusty Balls. Shout out to Dusty Balls.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
I know Dusty. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was the first drag king I ever saw. And then I was like, wait, I love drag. I love Tuang Fu. I love the birdcage. And then I was like, can I do this? And he inspired me to start performing.
Oh, man, I tell you, representation matters. Representation matters in more than one
Exactly.
way and then it is. All that being said, what is your relationship with maintenance and home repair? Are you f- do you have you done it a lot, or is it like absolutely no idea what you're doing.
I rent an apartment, so my relationship with maintenance is calling my landlord. No. But other than that, I am Puerto Rican. My background is Puerto Rican, so my relationship with maintenance is like my grandfather and my dad coming over and like duct taping a hole in the wall, or YouTubing a video and being like, "Oh, I think this is how you should do it." I am the butch one in my relationship, so I am the one who has to do all of the uh, hanging the shelves and hanging the pictures and killing the bugs. But other than that, I am not a professional.
See, I might be the butch one in my relationship, which is so funny because all my friends would say no.
Very
But
that.
when it comes to bugs, I am running. I absolutely hate spiders. Spiders scare the living
Same.
Jesus out of me.
And if it has
Okay,
wings, bye.
now I think I would like to call the first stranger on the internet and help them with their things. Do you want us to call people on their things and help them with other things?
Let's do it. Let's our cold calls.
Yeah, the cold I mean, this is always so fun when we call people and we have no idea what we're doing. So let's go.
Hi, Mercury. My name's Joan. My pronouns are she, her. Thank you for your content. I love it, and it's made things seem like they're so much more approachable. I appreciate it. I am a recently widowed mom of three beautifully feral children. And there's a lot of stuff that needs work in my house. Most recently, the soap holder in our bathtub has broken off, and I'm wondering if you can tell me how to fix that. Um, it's a solid break, like I can hold the entire thing in my hand. There's not a hole, it just is detached from the wall. So I'm hoping you can offer some guidance on that. Thank you.
A large part of my audience comes to me with similar stories, and I think that it's so interesting how a lot of us like put in so much trust in those around us that we love, right? Like they take care of this. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's truly scary. Like when my mom died, my dad didn't know how to balance a checkbook. He didn't even know how to
Hmm.
do laundry and sorting the you know different laundry and apart was just so different for my dad, and we had to show him. And I think there's something to be said about um, having that happen. When you lose someone that
Hmm.
you care about, feeling there's more than just the loss. There's this loss of like care that happens.
Yeah,
So
and like
I,
having to relearn, like,
yeah,
or learn new things, and just
not to completely segue to a completely out of touch like tone thing that I'm gonna say. Uh, but how familiar are you with cock? Because we're gonna be
last
talking a lot
time
about
last
that.
time I messed with some cock, I was like 18, but I have not has not.
I will say that I had cock all over my hands last night when I was doing some stuff here in the studio. So I think we're in pretty good hands. I
Yeah,
swear,
yeah.
I want you to know I say this every episode, but I wanted this to be a PJ show at one point. I really did. I thought this show could be PG, and then we can't get more than 5 minutes in. 5 minutes and already just absolutely insane.
You cannot stop talking about cock.
Hey there, hi, how's it going? So you have a shower dish soap problem, huh?
I do, yes. So my boys all share a bathroom, and I think what happened is one of them put their weight on it when they went to stand up to get out of the bath, and the dish soap, or I'm sorry, the shower holder, their bar soap holder,
Yeah.
just popped right off of the wall.
Oh yeah, no, no, that's like so common. I mean, the amount of people who use it as an oh shit handle is pretty high. I will
Yes.
say this, as someone who is just naturally gifted at falling on her butt most days, I gotta tell you, anything around me is an oh shit handle. Um, so that being said, is this tile? We're talking about tile, right?
Yeah,
So this is like a ceramic soap holder that is in a tile.
correct.
Okay, good. Is there any piece of this dish soap holder that's left in the wall?
No, it was a clean break, and
Oh,
thankfully there's no hole in the wall. It just came right off.
so when you say clean break, you mean like it's removed from the wall, but it's still intact.
Yes, so
Okay.
I can carry it down the hallway, take it with me.
Wow. Okay. How much adhesive is on the back of it? Is this like, do you think that you could maybe put the same one back, or is this like, nah, you don't need a replacement?
No, I think I could put the same one back. I just don't know
Oh,
what material to use to do it properly.
yeah, yeah. If there's adhesive that is remaining, right, on not just the back of the holder, but also the wall itself, you got to make sure that you remove every single thing you can, right? It has to be a clean, you got to make sure it's nice and flush. And a lot of times there's even a thin layer of adhesive that's left behind can actually cause problems. So
Okay.
make sure that you get it away, and you can get it away with like 5-in-1 tool, which is like a scraper, and it's a painter's tool, but it has a nice scraper edge on it. A 5-in-1 tool would be what I would suggest, or a strong putty knife. Maybe even like some type of like blade with like a scraper with a good blade. Those kind of things if you need to. That should help you. Now,
Uh-huh.
once you do that, you got to make sure that you don't take showers or something in there for a day or two because you need it really dry. Usually we recommend like putting a paper towel in there and like putting a piece of plastic on it. And then even if you think that, oh yeah, it's dry in there, you almost always get a damp towel back because like the way that walls hold moisture and things. And we just need to make sure that it is void for moisture as much as possible, right? So don't take a shower and then do this, is what I'm trying to say. Then the next step is applying the tile adhesive. Okay. Now there's a whole bunch of different stuff here. Okay. You could even probably use silicone caulk in this one, right? And everyone, I know you're laughing. I know you're laughing. Okay. I get it. We're all teenagers at heart. Okay. Um, is this yeah, I think silicone caulk is part of the route I would go. I would probably use tile adhesive behind it, and then I would fill in the cracks and everything around it with silicone caulk. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Have you ever used tile adhesive before?
No.
There's a whole bunch of different kinds. The kind that you want is gonna have to be the kind that can go into a bathroom. So you want to make sure that you find the kind that can like be mold and resistant and all that jazz.
Okay.
Okay, good. It was just the pauses are killing me. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like the tension. This is like watching Alien with Sigourney Weaver. By the way, I watched that recently. It holds up.
Oh
It
my god,
holds up.
Terry.
I think we get so hell bent sometimes on doing things right the first time that we actually never do it. And I
Right.
think it scares us, especially because I know you've gone through a lot, and I know that that can be really difficult to do these things, and the things that are on our checklist to do. This is probably not on the top 10 list of things you need to do in your life right now. So, uh,
Right.
yeah, like it's always going to be second fiddle. But I promise you, if you do these things and it works out, you're going to be pretty happy with yourself. I think it can help with confidence a lot too, you know but basically
Definitely. Yeah.
those are the steps. That's basically it, like, and if you've ever used with silicone caulk before, that just go wet your thumb, or wet washcloth, and just make sure you feather it all off, and it looks pretty good. If you're really worried about the sealant line looking like not great, even though in this instance I think you'll be fine, there is a
Right.
great trick with painter's tape. You put painter's tape alongside it. You give it about 1/8 of an inch clearance, but you make sure the painter's tape is really straight all the way alongside it on both sides. So when you apply the silicone caulk, it doesn't matter how much you apply because you're just going to take your thumb and rub it right in there, and then the rest is going to go into the the tape, and when you remove the tape, it looks like a professional did it. So
I
if you're
Oh,
really,
I like that.
yeah,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, that's
there we
such a
go. That
good
was a good
tip.
one. Yeah,
That's a great
yeah. You know
so
what? You know what? You might get some other shit wrong, but when it
yeah,
comes to this stuff, she's pretty handy. We're gonna keep
it's
that.
gonna look pretty. It's gonna look pretty.
Yeah, it's gonna look pretty.
That's what
It might be
matters.
done wrong, but it's looking pretty.
Well,
Going back to Tenderoni, are you talking about like is this the stuff that you have in like a cock gun?
yeah, like
And like
it's and
yeah.
it clicks, or is it in a tub and you smear it?
You know, Tenderoni, I will say this, as a drag king, I'm surprised you don't know what this is right out of your gate, because you know how many times I've seen stupid ass drag kings on stage with a cock between their legs and just squeezing it. You know how many acts I've seen over the last 15 years of my life? There's always a handy drag king that comes on stage wearing a tool belt and just like puts a tarp on the floor and just like squeezes cock the whole time. So
Listen, I've been doing drag for 7 years. I'm past that stage. That's like year 1, year 2, year 3. That's year like 1, 2, 3.
I love it. We had a wonderful a drag king here in Wisconsin that did that act, and I gotta tell you, I loved it every time. I laugh my butt off every time. But all that being said, you don't need to use those. You don't need. I don't think you need that in this. What you could get away with is the squeezable tubes. You can
Okay,
get,
see, that's what I
yeah,
was trying to
yeah,
think.
yeah. So I think the squeeze. So if you are someone who has a hard time like with that pressure in your hand, like I know if you have, a carpal tunnel or if you have arthritis or anything like that, it can be really hard to squeeze those stupid tubes, you know. So I
Mhm.
think those squeezable tubes are actually kind of easier because they fit in your hand smaller. And it's like toothpaste. It operates like toothpaste. Make sure you get the
All right.
silicone cups
Thank
that's safe
you.
for bathrooms as well. Okay. Also, how are you doing? How are you doing otherwise?
Um, it's hard. It was breath by breath, and now it's kind of day by day. So it's only been a year and a half. So it's I don't know. I don't know how I am.
You Are you raising the kiddos yourself?
Yeah, yeah, and our youngest just turned 3.
Wow.
So
I
it's
I gotta
yeah,
tell
it's
you,
hard.
my heart goes out to you, but I do gotta tell you, just from this phone call, there's something about you. You got like superhero vibes written all over you.
Yeah,
And
you
I and
have
I
amazing energy.
yeah, great energy.
Thank you.
you know, from an outside perspective, there's nothing I can say that will ever make anyone feel like 100% confident when you're in a situation that makes you feel not so great, right? But I will say,
Yeah,
um, I have more respect for people who ask questions like this while other things in their life are also on fire. And I think it says a lot of what you're capable and what you're able to do. So I just want you to know my heart goes up and we're all thinking about you. And I hope that those kiddos grow up to be just as cool as you. Okay.
thank you.
Y-
Thank you.
Yeah, hang in there. Okay. I if you need anything
Thank
else,
you. We will.
if you need anything else, I mean this, please text and call us. Do not hesitate.
I
Okay.
will. I
Okay.
will.
I will make
Thank
sure
you.
I will keep your number in our files and I will check for your number every week when we do the show. Okay.
You know what we did the day after he passed is we went to Comic-Con in his honor.
What?
Oh my
Really?
The
god,
kids.
so cool.
And
Wow.
yep, in full costume. Yeah.
Wow. What do the kids go as?
Dude Thor. Um, what did the baby go as? The baby went as punk rock Spider-Man, and my oldest one is Mario.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you know what? You take
Yeah,
care and give my best to the kiddos as well. Okay.
I will. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
What a cool
Yeah,
mom. Parkour
yeah, I
and
know.
Comic-Con.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She takes her kids to parkour. She takes her kids to the Comic Con. She is making sure she can repair things in her home. And she definitely has a relationship with her kids that's like kind of tongue in cheek because when she called them feral. So you know,
Yeah,
I I
exactly.
I think that you know I don't know. There's such strength in single parents who are
Mhm.
especially widowed or widowers.
And I respect too, like the willingness to ask for help. as well is like so important because like then she gets exposed to people like you who are just doing so much good and it's like okay we probably cheered her up for the
Yeah,
day and then
and I hope she called. I hope she calls back. I really do.
yeah
I hope like in a year or 2 years we keep hearing from her and checking in with her because it would be nice to make sure that this community can stick together and support one another because that's what we've been building for the last 3 years for the trans handyman is really much a community. Yeah, so everyone who's watching this or listening to this, make sure you put down in the comment section or just send your love to Joan. Make sure that everything is okay.
yes
Okay. I think it's always nice. So down in the comment section, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure she can see it. That was what I would like. Okay, now not a segue to a completely stupid thing. You want to talk about root beer?
oh my god I love root beer
Yeah, I love root beer. I taste root beers that I never have had before on this show. Okay, now I've had Spreckers. I love Spreckers. This is one of my favorite root beers. Okay, the reason why I'm drinking this and not something else is because we ran out of all the root beers that we had in the studio. We've done too many of these episodes. So
how dare
if you have a root beer that you want me to try, no matter how awful it sounds, you gotta send it to me. You find out where you can send it to me by going to my website, Mercury Stardust Media. And if you send me a dud, you're dead to me. No,
you're dead to me you're
yeah,
dead to
you're
me
dead. You're probably a distasteful joke to make, considering the phone call we just took. I'm
Ooh,
an asshole.
cut that put
I'm
it in
an
another
asshole.
section
I'm an asshole. I really am. That being said,
wow
yeah, I love you. Hey, I want you to know, I've had multiple parents in my life die before I was like in the 90s, right? So I like to say that I've been collecting dead parents since the 80s. And
oh
I
my god
think it's a funny joke. I think it's a funny joke, dude. I know it's morbid as fuck. It's really funny, okay?
no people
um,
with dead parents are allowed to do those jokes
Yeah, I mean, for real. I will also say that I have surrounded myself around people who have experienced loss early on in their
Mhm.
life. And I think there's a different way that we look through the world when we experience loss so young. You know, we there's like for me at least, I love life. I love it, man. I'm gonna live
Mhm.
life so flipping hard, because you just never know. A lot of things can pop up. It's kind of like I'm bringing this back to home repair. I always do. You just never know what's gonna break down. You never know what's gonna happen, and being ready for it, having the right tools in your back pocket, that fucking matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, that being
definitely.
said, watch me drink this root beer.
Ooh, do it next to the
Mhm.
mic so I'll give you ASMR.
Oh, no one wants that. No one wants. It's just gonna be me just slurping. I'm sure what
Your
they want.
dental work your dental work slurps.
With half my face. I've identified as a buck-toothed kid my entire life.
Oh my god,
You know what I
same.
mean? Yeah,
Bucktooth Mafia.
yeah, buck-tooth and the idea that I might not be a buck-tooth anymore is fucking weird.
Oh my god. I'm
Uh,
low-key jealous.
But the thing is, though, I love my buck teeth. Like I love that me and Bucky Badger could get along anywhere. You know what I mean? Like I love that beavers are just like, oh, you're one of us. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big fan of that. I
That
love
was
that
my
every
school mascot.
yeah
My high school.
beaver beaver. What was the
Yeah.
school name? What was the school name?
Putnam Beavers.
No, no, it was not. Really?
Yes.
Do
And I went to
they
a trade
know?
school too. So,
Oh,
that's why I'm trade. Canceled.
wow. Wow. Okay, are you ready for the next question?
Yes, let's go.
Hi, Mercury. This is Jess from Winston-Salem, she, her pronouns. I was calling, first off, to say thank you so much for coming to Winston at Bookmarks for your book signing. It was wonderful to see you. Second is that I have a gas-powered hot water heater that has been running fine, has had some regular maintenance on it for about 3 years. And this winter, it has been dispelling a lot of extra water. I almost never have
Mhm.
to drain the like excess water kind of spout bucket thing until recently, and it's probably filling up like every 2 or 3 days. And so I was just curious what your perspective is on what might be causing that, and if it's something that I can fix or adjust here by myself, or if that is a job for a professional. So I appreciate your insight. Thanks so much. Bye.
Okay, Tenderoni, how much do you know about hot water heaters? Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't tell you one
yeah.
thing about hot water heaters.
Hey, renters and hot water heaters. We know a thing or two.
I
I
just got central air installed into my apartment.
what? Way to
So
go! What a big step! What a big step! I think I can help. I think I can help. I got a few ideas here. Hot water heaters are dicey. There's always this concern they're going to blow up, and that is like
yeah.
very overblown. And I don't think that I know it was bad. I know it was bad. It's not that common. But that being said, let's see if we can make this work. Hey there, hi, how's it going?
Hi, Mercury Stardust.
I love when people use my full name. I love it.
You wonderful not to use.
You have a really wonderful question. And also by wonderful question, I mean I don't always answer water heater questions because they are such a there's a lot going on here, and there can be scary to work on, you know. There's also a lot of
Yeah.
misconceptions about hot water heaters, and it's hard to communicate about them without getting a comment section full of people being like, "You're crazy, you're gonna kill everybody," that kind of thing. So that being said, I think I know the answer here.
Okay.
Do you know? So you know your temperature and pressure valve, right? Your TP valve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you need to replace it. I think that's.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. I think, and a lot. So we should always be servicing our hot water heaters every year, checking the TP valve. Some people are going to freak out and say that, oh, it's going to fail if you do that. Well, that's the fucking point. We want to be testing it, and if it fails, then we know we need to replace it. And that's what I would say here. There's some amazing step-by-step tutorials that are online that are going to show you better than I can show you while talking through you on the phone, right? But like, do you have any questions about a thing like that, doing a TP valve?
I guess like in terms of length of time it might take somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience with that, is that like an all-day project, do you think? Or like, can you kind of muster through it in, maybe 30 minutes?
I think even if you don't have a whole lot of experience, if you turn things off and you're really cautious and you go step by step, I think maybe 2 hours. I don't think it's that bad. Someone's gonna say in the comment section, 2 hours. I overestimate. I would rather overestimate and get done a lot sooner than doing the opposite that a lot of technicians do, and then say 15 minutes and it takes you 10 days.
Yeah. Right. And you always have to factor in the multiple trips to some home improvement store because you
Oh
can never
yeah.
go
I mean, I wasn't
everywhere.
going to say that part, but that's almost always going to be the thing. I will say this: if you're not comfortable with this, don't do it. Don't. You know what I mean? Like it's. I, I, people are going to say that it's super dangerous. It's actually not. The TP valve this is pretty safe. If you didn't have a TP valve, then it would be way different. You know what I mean? But the temperature and pressure gauge, or valve rather, really keeps you in a safe position. And when you turn everything off and you open it up and you do the thing, it's actually pretty step by step. It's not bad. You're gonna need a bucket to catch water and stuff like that. But it's not too bad. I think you could. I think you could do it. If you watch, I would say 3 videos. I always tell people that when you're doing something for the first time and you're not positive about it, watch 3 videos. And when you watch those 3 different tutorials, you're gonna pick up something new every single time. And I promise you'll at one of the videos you'll be like, I got it. I think I could do it. But the other ones you might not
Awesome.
be. People have different styles of teaching that can make us feel like, you know. Sorry,
Mhm.
if you're like, where did the horse come from? I I went to the dentist today, and I thought it was a really good idea to get a filling, while I had to record a show. So if you're like Mercury, you sound like you're lisping. I am lisping. Yeah. And I can't feel my face. I feel like this would be a great time to get in a bar fight because I could get away with anything. You just punch me in my face. I'll just keep coming. Say I look fat in
It's
these
important
jeans.
to be ready for anything. I love that attitude.
Okay. That being said, do you have any further questions on this one?
How often does that tend to get replaced, or
Oh, that's a
like
good.
once it gets replaced, what should I be thinking? 3 years, 5 years, whatever.
So that's a great question. How old is this hot water heater? Do you have an idea?
It is 23, 24 years old.
Wait, did you say 23, 24?
Oh my God, my
Yeah.
age. I am 35.
Yeah, I think it was installed in 2010.
Oh my God, it's younger than us. Oh my God. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God, he can get car insurance now. He can rent a car. That's
Go to
incredible.
the casino.
I know, you don't want to hear how old my furnace is for sure.
Yeah, I mean that the hot water. Yeah, I really do think as a TP valve, it's probably never been replaced. I would say they can go a
Yeah.
long. They can go a long time. You know what I mean?
Okay. Mhm.
And if you're servicing it every year and you're taking care of it, those things can be good for a long, long time. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's good to know.
and the more you service it, the more likely it is to fail. But that is kind of the point. Like you don't want this the thing that protects you like a TP valve does to fail unexpectedly, right? So that's why it's so important to do that. And I highly recommend it. So yeah, no, I think you're asking the right questions. I think you're going to be in a pretty good place. I'm not going to lie. I have a feeling you're going to be able to pull this one off. And if you do, you got to send me photos and a video of like you pulling it off.
Yes.
And if you don't, you can blame it on Tenderoni.
Okay.
You can blame it on Tenderoni.
Blame it on me because I thought
I
TP valve was
will
toilet
certainly
paper.
send triumph pictures. Absolutely.
What do you think, Tenderoni? I let you get off with almost not saying a single word in this one. What do you think?
I think you should watch videos like Mercury said.
Okay, just repeating what I said
And
now. Just repeating what I said
listen. Okay, I have a question. Does hot water heaters work harder in the summer or in the winter?
now. I would say that. Oh boy, I would say they do work hard in the winter. I would say they do work hard. There's only a plumber in the comment section who writes a dissertation about how I'm wrong. But I do think they work harder because when the water comes in colder, it does have to, you know, work harder to get the temperature to where you want it to be. And that's why I think you do see quite a few hot water heaters fail at this time of year, especially you mentioned off air at one point that this started in December, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, see that to me, where do you live? What region, what
In
state?
North Carolina.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I live in
okay.
North Carolina.
Yeah, you live in North Carolina. Yeah, you said West Carolina. I'm like, that's a new state to me. I was like, what? I want you to know. I cannot believe we're going to tell this story. I want you to know that I went on a book tour, right? And I was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and someone came up to me and said they drove from Delaware. And I said, I wish I was joking. I didn't know that was a real place. So I just want you to know
Oh my
you
God.
can't be telling me that you are from West Virginia. That's a mean thing to do. But you came out to see me at Winston-Salem, huh?
I did. I was there at Bookmarks.
Oh, thank you so much for coming out. I hope that you're enjoying the book.
Yeah,
Sorry,
totally.
there's no mention of this in the book.
Yeah, I looked first. I was like, I have the
Yeah.
resource, and then it wasn't in there. So I was like, but I know the handyman
Yeah,
is the resource.
we are going to be doing a second book, and we'll make sure we include hot water heaters in the second book. But like renters don't encounter this very often. This is
Yeah.
very much a homeowner thing. And I think we gave you the right direction. I think you have a good head on your shoulders, and I do think you're going to be okay. But I just reminder that do not attempt this if you watch these videos and go, "There's no way." Just don't. You know what I mean?
No.
Um,
Yep.
but just
Yep.
be aware that the backlog of plumbers is quite high. So
Yep.
there's a nationwide shortage of plumbers specifically. So they're charging more and they're taking longer. So just be
Oh
aware.
my god, is that
Uh,
true? That's crazy.
it is. So about a year ago they sent like I don't know like 200 plumbers from Texas to various parts of the country. That's how desperate
Wow.
it has gotten because there's so much work and there's not enough certified plumbers to do the work. And in a lot of these places, you really do need people who are veterans and experienced in this work. And there just isn't that many. A lot of that aged out. There's a lot of young folks now who only have like a couple of years of field experience and a couple of years of trade school, but field experience is really important. And especially with
Mhm.
when we have an infrastructure that is really old and failing. So having folks have been in the industry for 20 years is really important. So that being said, that's what's going on. So hey,
Good to know.
if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, what do I want to be when I grow up? You want to be a plumber. You want to be a plumber, or you want to be a carpenter. Those are the ones I say. Carpenter is definitely harder on your body, but carpenters are in high demand. Okay, I think I helped you.
Awesome. I feel way more equipped to look into the videos, and at least if that doesn't work out, I feel way more equipped to describe what the problem probably is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel great. Thank you so much.
Having the language is really important. So hey, good luck and take care. Okay.
Yes, good
Thank
luck.
you so much. I really appreciate you.
Bye bye.
I was so useless in that call.
It's okay. I mean, you know what? I love how I just agreed with you. You said that, and I went, "Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. I'm okay."
You're so affirming to me. Thank you.
I'm the kind of person that's yes anding. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But that being said, boy, hot water heaters. I gotta tell you, what a pain in the butt. It makes you like you're happy that you're a renter. You know what I mean?
I
Am I
just have a
right?
vivid not imagination, a vivid memory of my grandfather, going downstairs to see him in the basement, like on the floor with a
Yeah.
bucket with water, and then duct tape all over it. I just remember
Yeah,
duct tape all over the
that is
water.
the most grandfather shit I've ever heard. Is there any drag performer that like makes you like inspired other than Dusty Balls that you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
in the show? Is
You
there
know
any drag
what?
performer that makes you happy?
Yeah, a lot of them do, but my most current obsession is King of Molasses. He
Oh,
is a drag king from, I think he's based in DC. I've done a couple shows with him. He is probably like the sexiest drag king I've ever seen.
oh,
He's super
hello.
talented. Look him up right now at King Molasses on all his
Oh,
socials.
I can
He
guarantee you
is
right now that Basil's pulling up photos right now, and I'm gonna get to Google the
Listen, he
King Molasses.
travels with a mic stand. He's very old school. He travels with a mic stand and performs with a mic stand. Very old school. And the thing is
Really?
that he's like the polar opposite of me. He only does like slow songs and super like sensual songs, which I'm not. I'm like Running Man.
There-
That's me. This
This
is
is
how we
why
do it.
this is why drag kings and burlesque go so close hand to hand. There's always this level of like if drag kings can find a way to show people their butt, they absolutely will. Yeah, drag kings will find a way to strip, even if it makes no sense in the performance. I'm gonna get naked, and that I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I like it. I'm not complaining. And also, as a performer that always got naked, even if I didn't have to, I get you. Being
Yeah, that's
said,
my alter ego. Titty Roni is my alter ego when I go topless.
shut up, Tenderoni.
Yeah, they come out.
I really thought this could be a PG show. I really did. I really did.
Oopsies.
Uh,
Doobie Roni.
Do you want to answer more questions?
Sure.
Okay, let's
Let's
get
do it.
to
Maybe I'll know something about the next one.
You know what? Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't know anything. Maybe I'm tapped out. Maybe I just committed too early to the harder ones today, and then the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
ones I'm just gonna absolutely
No,
do
listen,
terrible.
listen.
Yeah,
Everything you said about that, the tub, the soap dish tub
yeah.
thing is how I prepare my costumes before I rhinestone them. It's like make sure it's clean, make sure it's dry, make sure it's like
I
a porous place
I
where you
gotta
have to
tell
put
you,
it down.
I make this joke all the time, but it's almost kind of not a joke. Is crafters are better at home repair than people think. I mean it. I
Yeah.
mean it, man.
Mhm.
Like when I tell you, some of the people who are the best at detail are crafters. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah,
you
because
have
you're
to have
like
a fine eye for some things, and people who are handy are often kind of crafters too. Like the amount of people who I know who are crocheting or knitting, and then also are like really good at drywall is kind of high too. You know what I mean? Like there's a way that there's a dexterity with your hands that is
mhm,
really important, and a lot of people don't have that in the industry. So never
yeah.
never
Before
underestimate how your skills that you think are useless are actually really fucking useful. You know,
exactly,
you never know. You never undermine yourself. You are way more powerful than you think. Okay, so let's get to it.
Hey, my name is Debbie. I use she, her, and I just first of all want to say you are an incredible human being. I am so glad that you are in this world. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. My question is about a landlord issue. If you
Oh,
call and put in work orders, does that end up pissing off a landlord? And what's kind of the vibe between tenants and landlords regarding reporting very legitimate work orders that should be addressed? Thank you again. You are a wonderful gift to this world. You're amazing.
I have
Bye.
I have so much to say to Deborah.
me too.
And this is now we're entering a part of the show I like to call Mercury shits on landlords. Brought to you by Spreckers, everyone's favorite anti-landlord drink. I'm never gonna get sponsored by a root beer company. It's never gonna
Oh my God.
happen. Okay. What are your thoughts before we go into this? What do you think? I know what I
Um,
think.
listen, I'm very fortunate when it comes to this because my landlord is like the nicest person ever. He is
Independent
nice
or
guy,
like a big
independent.
commercial?
No, he's
Wow.
independent. His name is Eugene. Shout out to Eugene. He is. I've been in the same apartment for 9 years.
Whoa.
He is. Yeah, he's here, and I can text him. He'll come right over. He'll change my light bulbs. He does like whatever I need. So I
Do,
am
do,
spoiled. I'm lucky. My landlord. I remember he found out I did drag because when I first moved in, I did not do drag, and then when I was in the newspaper, I was like in the Chicago Tribune, and then he comes one day to the apartment to do something. He's like, "Is this you?"
shut
With
up. That's
I'm like,
funny.
"Yes."
Yeah,
And I
because
was scared at first, and I was like,
you've been in haven't you been in the New York Times? You've been in a bunch of
yeah,
publications, haven't you? Yeah,
yeah."
yeah. What is it like to be
So
a
he,
nationally known drag king? What is it like to
I
be
mean, it's wild. It's very surreal. It's kind of like a niche market within a niche market
Yeah.
because it's like, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I get from it, and I'm very grateful for. I got a lot of notoriety from winning Alaska's pageant. It was the
Yeah.
pageant.
You
Drag Queen of the Year. That's my title,
yeah,
which is kind of funny. It's a
and
misnomer.
I was gonna ask you about that. What how did that were you the only drag king competing in 2021?
No, there was another. Well, he's a drag prince. His name is Tito Soto. But we were the two masculine performers in the competition. But a lot of people don't know that that competition is very much it's sarcastic. The competition is based on the competition in the movie Tu Wong Fu. It's called Drag Queen of the Year.
Yeah, that is
So
so
that's why
funny.
it's named that
God, I gotta
because
have
it's like a
Alaska
joke.
I gotta have Alaska on the show at some point. I gotta.
And
Sh I
it's
feel
like that's why it's named that. So that's why I was like, that's my favorite movie. So I'm not mad that's my title.
I love it. I love it.
but I have had horrible landlords before that.
Does Eugene own the property too?
He does.
Wow. Yeah. See now, gold standard. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think that having a working relationship with your tenants and having one where your tenant's not afraid to actually ask for help, you got to realize how invaluable that is. You don't want a tenant that's afraid of you. You don't. Because you know what happens when they're afraid of you? They don't tell you when they need help. And you know what happens? That thing
exactly.
that needs to get fixed right now gets neglected because they're too afraid of you. And if you're like, oh, why are they afraid of me? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, you hold all the power, man. You hold all the power. You are the person who
Mhm.
owns the property. You get to decide if they get to live there next lease or not. And that's scary. These are people's homes. These are homes.
Mhm.
And I always say there's way more than property. If you look at this as property and not the fact that you're sheltering someone, I think that you fundamentally are missing the point.
Yeah.
So hey, shout out to Eugene. That's cool. That
Yeah.
makes me happy that you're having a good experience. Okay, let's give them a call and see if we can help.
Handyman Hotline, you're listening. Yada, yada, yada. Blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm just too excited for our topic this week to waste any more time than I have to on an intro. I'm here to talk to you about a cultural icon of the 90s, a real gem of a movie. To sum it up, the three main characters are on a road trip across the country, and they end up breaking down midway through their journey, but they overcome threats of violence and homophobia and are able to complete their trek across the Australian desert just in time. Hold on. I'm looking at my marching orders here. 90s icon, yes. Road trip, yes. Oh, but drag? Well, obviously, I was going to get into the wait. Patrick Swayze. You mean I'm not talking about the cultural impact of the 1994 hit movie The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert? Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, is a film from 1995 that follows three drag queens as they go across the country and break down midway through their journey across America. They face some adversity, but just in case you're squeamish, everything turns out fine, because two of the drag queens are played by Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes, who are some of the biggest action stars of the 1990s, so nothing bad could possibly happen to either of them, since they're built like absolute brick houses, but also are so convincing in drag that nobody in this Midwestern town, seemingly frozen in time and potentially intelligence, has any notion that they could possibly be men. Look, I don't review movies, obviously. This segment is not, please hold for film critique. It's about history. So let's talk about the cultural impact of Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything. I have the Rolling Stone review from 1995 in front of me now, so let's just read from Peter Travers. The $30 million drag comedy that kicks off the fall film season is hardly a breakthrough. Universal Pictures and Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment have an investment to protect. This means boats will not be rocked, PC issues will not be challenged, and nasties will not be exposed. Timidity seems to be the buzzword across the board here. Unrealistic also comes to mind. I mean, ask any drag performer if they would willingly fall asleep in their makeup and wigs, and their expressions will look more akin to a horror flick than a 90s feel-good comedy. But man, Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar is a really good, safe movie to review when Pride Month comes around. Type it into a search bar on Spotify and you'll get a great selection of, in honor of Pride Month, we're reviewing as your results. I'll let that speak for itself. But when it comes to cultural impact, Tu Wong Fu didn't do anything particularly new. The plot of the movie was lifted from the movie that I mentioned earlier, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And sure, the creators of the Aussie film claim they saw the script for Tu Wong Fu and decided that it wouldn't be a threat to their flick. But let's also remember that Priscilla had a budget of $2 million compared to Wong Fu's $30 mil budget, and that Universal Studios had some pretty nice lawyers on retainer in the 90s. Here's another recommendation, gratis. Go watch The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and reflect on how thrilling and spectacular a movie can be when it isn't afraid to take a hard look at sensitive topics. And remember, as the boss lady likes to say, you're worth the time it takes to learn a little history. Here's Mercury.
Hello, this is Debbie.
Hey, Debbie, this is Mercury Stardust calling. How's it going?
This is absolutely bananas. It's going so well. I cannot believe this is happening.
Oh, that was the best response ever. I
Oh,
appreciate.
your laugh is just pure joy.
Oh, thank you. I just want you to know I just wiggled my butt as if you could see it. Like I became I became a
I might have done
bunny.
that in my chair too.
I became a bunny that thought it was getting a carrot.
I love that, and we actually put carrots out for the bunnies in our backyard. So this is all tracking. This is good.
Now, I think we're going to jump right into this question right away because we're not talking of a handy question at all. We're dealing with a very interpersonal question. The one that I think that I think all three of us can kind of share our thoughts on here. First and foremost, Debbie, how long have you been a renter for?
Oh gosh, I think actually on Valentine's Day will be 4 years.
4 years. Okay. Were you not a renter before or
No, so here's my really wild thing, right?
Yeah.
I was reading about like your experiences, right? Like you lived in dorms and whatnot. I actually worked in higher education and I worked in housing and residence life. I too lived in dorms. I got married. We lived in a dorm. I had 2 kids. We lived in a dorm. So it's been a really interesting like lived experience when you're a full-grown adult and a staff member working for a college but living amongst students, and that is its own like book we could write. But yeah, after switching gears and switching my position up, we rented for the first time.
Wow. So this is your first time and it's been 4 years. Have you put in a lot of work orders before? Is this like you've never done this before?
So well, that's what's really weird, right? Like work orders are a thing when you are in housing residence life. They just are. You have hundreds of students plugging in work orders all the time on various different systems. So it's not that I don't know how to do it. For me, I want to be a great, excellent tenant, right? Like that is my thing. I want to make sure I have a happy landlord. I want to make sure that we're taking great care of this property. And exactly to what you've said so many times, this is our home. And it is. We're building our lives here. And I just want to be so cognizant that we're good stewards of this property. And stuff sometimes needs to get fixed. And it's, like little things are the DIY, which God bless your book. But like,
what,
like when there are work orders that pop up, I want to make sure that I'm number one, not bombarding them, because I feel like frequently it's like when it rains, it pours, right?
Yeah.
So then you have a whole bunch of things. And I just want to always make sure that I'm just being a thoughtful tenant. And 2, things need to be addressed. How do you best package those without overwhelming the landlord or property manager?
Yeah. You said a lot in there that I can respond to. I think that first and foremost, I think it's really important to know that landlords and tenants sign a contract. This is a contractual agreement, right? And I always say this is an adult to an adult, regardless of what the age difference is. This is adult to an adult, right? But we also need to realize that every relationship has a power imbalance, right? That landlords are the ones that own the property, and I think that's really important for us to understand, and also landlords should understand that too. You know what I mean? And I think that relationships should be operating in care. You saying that you want to be a good steward to the property is I got to tell you, not every tenant feels that way. I got to tell you, as me as a tenant, I don't feel that way. Tenderoni, do you feel that way?
I do. I mean, I have a good relationship with my landlord, so I'm like, I don't want to be. I want to be good to this apartment, so he's good to me.
Well, what's your relationship like with your landlord?
Well, I've actually we've never met our landlord. We go through a property manager, and there's a familiar, like, I think the landlord is the grandmother or the aunt of the property manager. So there's a thing there, but of course we didn't know that up front. Yeah. They are attentive. They are good. But I will say we had a very major work order, and we had a technician come out. And my husband was in the backyard and just was trying to be helpful and saying, like, oh, there's another crawl space entrance over here. And he heard the property manager through the phone be like, that's not their house. Like, we know, but like, we're just trying to be helpful, right? And
Yeah.
so like,
I want to contextualize something that's really important here. So when
mhm,
we're dealing with property management companies, we are dealing with
mhm,
like this is the dragon in the cave. This is the
Yeah.
ogre that's
mm,
come to town. This is the giant that's ready to stomp on it. I'm not trying to paint it like this is the worst thing. I worked in property management, right? I worked in property management
mhm,
for a
mhm,
long time. But I will tell you that these companies, they overwork their employees to the point where
mm,
you barely can think half the time. You know what I mean? I took care of, boy, I had 150 or 160 units that I took care of myself, and I had about
oh,
480 tenants because
Oh my
people had
gosh.
kids. Lots of families lived in this area, and I worked in an area that was a cul-de-sac, and it was a
mm,
part of the city that was the demographic was dramatically different than the rest of the city, and there
mhm,
was a lot of racism and a lot of like a lot of bigotry that was happening within the system, and trying
mm,
to get that out and trying to push that out while also maintaining the property is wild. I mean, I tried my hardest to work within the system, and it just isn't. I don't think
mhm,
it's feasible. I don't think unless
mm,
you have a company that is trying its best to rewrite what the system is, I don't think it's worth trying to find that common ground. Okay, now I'm not trying to make this like bleak
okay.
picture. I'm just letting you know from my standpoint as someone who did this work. I will also tell you, 9 times out of 10, the person who's doing the work, the technician, they don't know where things are because they're the turnover rate is crazy high. They'll what
Mm,
so what
mhm,
will happen is they'll, like, 2 or 3 years in, they'll find a new job almost, right? And they're all over the place. They have no investment in this community, and to them, it's not a community. They probably live
mhm,
outside of the city, which is very common. They'll live like 30 or 45 minutes away. Most of the people that I worked with didn't even live in the city I reside in. So they had no connection to the community in which that they were there. I always tell people that I went to PTA meetings, I went to city council meetings, I made sure that my community, my local community that I was caring for, there was this group of people could see me actively participating in making their community better. And I do think that shit goes a long ways because it was a lot easier for me to get stuff done than my coworkers because people would let me in their home because they knew I was more in tune with what they needed, you know? So all that
mhm,
being said, how do you have a good relationship with a landlord? How do you like get a work order done? Honestly, I think that making sure that you are clear and concise
mhm,
in your work order is really important. I think that especially because technicians want to get in and out, they want to go to the next job. They do not want to ask
mhm,
you what you're talking about. So the more concise that you are, the more you can describe it, the happier they're going to be. Okay? And here's the
mhm,
thing, technicians are kind of the eyes of the property management companies.
mhm,
They talk to the property manager. I'll guarantee that if they had a bad day, they'll go to the office and they'll spend 30 minutes talking about it. Do you know what I mean? So like
mm,
it's
mhm,
how they decompress, is how they get through the day. And then I will say on top of that, the property manager, boy, I when I worked at one company, I worked there for about a year. I had 3 property managers in 1 year. And that happens a lot, and I think it's because the industry itself, instead of giving them support, they kind of throw them in, and it's kind of a
mm,
nationwide thing. And I can say that pretty confidently because we went and did a book tour, and the amount of property managers who just like came to me and like try their best just to gush, I'm like,
mm, mhm,
it's a lot. So I don't know if this is answering your question as much as like I'm kind of trying to like paint a picture of what the industry really truly is.
mhm,
And and how often the person who owns the property will never see the property.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. It's not. That's not. If they were invested in a property, they would actually be the landlord instead of like finding
Yeah.
someone else to do it. And to them, it's an investment that like they don't want to spend too much money on.
Is there something for a tenant to be mindful about in terms of quantity or frequency of submitting work orders? What do you recommend to tenants when it does come time to put in work orders that you think in the back of your mind might be costly repairs as well for the owner?
There was tenants that I knew on a first name basis, and I knew their kids really well, and I knew their family really well because I was in there almost every week. Do you know what I
Mm.
and I that wasn't
Mhm.
crazy uncommon. I mean, and especially for a community like that where people have lived there for 25, 30 years, you know? There was a woman by the name of
Mhm.
Ella, and I know her name was Ella because every single day she was like, "My name is Ella, and I live here, and I've been here for 25 years. When are you gonna fix my fucking window?" You know what I mean? She would she would give me the heart no matter what. Every day will be like, "Oh, you need to fix
Ella
this.
sounds
You need to fix it."
spicy.
Oh, Ella was just oh my god, that one day I came to work with full face of makeup on, and she didn't know I was trans. So she just said, "Are you a drag queen?" And I said, "If I was,
Oh boy.
would you watch RuPaul with me?" And she was just like, "Yeah." So one day as I'm fixing her oven, we're watching RuPaul. And
That's
so
great.
that was
That's
Ella.
so
I actually had dinner with Ella a few times. And when I left the company, I bought an Ella something really nice for her home right away because she was so close to me, and she was one of the reasons why I
Mm.
stayed with the company, you know.
Mm.
And one of the reasons
Mhm.
why I think I got famous on the internet because I could say I had good relationships with people and I felt confident about that. But to back to your question though, like how much is too much and what do we prefer? Eh, I think every
Mhm.
technician is going to have different answers to that. I will tell you
Mhm.
what I
Mhm.
liked. I liked when tenants sent me an all at once order. Do you know what I mean by
yeah,
that?
that's
Mm.
what I do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so,
Everything
like,
at one
I
time.
liked it. I loved it. I loved it. That was my favorite thing when tenants I don't think that I got a little bit discouraged, sometimes when it was, like, every week for 9 weeks in a row, I got a new separate individual work order. And the
Mhm.
only reason why that would hurt is because it kinda hurts your momentum, and the way the fair housing laws work, you have to do it in order in which you get it.
Mhm.
The more work orders I had, the harder my job was. And
Yeah.
I would say, for 136 units, the most I had was 22 active work orders. Most weeks I had about 11 to 14. So that was, you know, and then we keep in mind that for me, I had to do turnovers while also doing that work. So I would be turning over a unit or sometimes 3 at one time while also doing all the work orders, while also doing, daily rounds of picking all the trash up around the whole space. It was a lot of
Ooh.
work. It was a yeah, yeah,
Girl, that's a lot.
and here's the best part. This company, told me I wasn't allowed to work over 40 hours. There's no way to do that job properly. I got yelled at all the time for not getting done with stuff. But the thing is, I've always prided myself in details. I will never rush
Mhm.
anything. I'll never and also with tenants, I spent way more time with tenants than I did turnovers. But with turnovers, that's where they make their money. So they're
Mhm.
gonna be putting a lot of
Mhm.
pressure on you to make that happen. I feel like I'm talking a lot and also definitely bitching a lot.
I really love it because here's what's really great about this. First of all, folks that don't work in this in the profession that you do don't know this. It's really great. You're also humanizing the experience of folks that are in our buildings and in our properties. That I think it's important for us to know these things, and you're also educating me in the process. I really
Oh,
appreciate it. So I
well,
say keep going, girl. I'm listening.
well, good. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate it. Tenderoni, do you have any questions here?
I don't have
Okay.
a question, but I do wanna tell the caller that you're not a bad tenant for asking for work orders
Oh yeah.
because that means that
Mm.
you want to take care of where you live.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You're not a bad tenant. They're bad at their job. That's that's
Mhm.
important. I need as a professional. This is what you do. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Like they are getting paid to provide you a service, not the other way around. You know what I mean? And I hear you. I definitely
Mhm.
hear you when we talk about like wanting to have a good working relationship, but a lot of that's on them. They have the power, not you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like
No.
it's you can no matter a tenant can do all the right things and still piss someone off in the office. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah. Yeah.
man, I just wish it wasn't that way, but I've just seen so many times, so many times I've seen something where just my eyes cannot roll back in my head farther. you know? Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Did that help? Did that help, Debbie?
I thought this was really validating. It was really informative. I appreciate it sincerely. I've got to believe I'm not the only person out there that's trying to figure out how to navigate it. So I appreciate that you gave space to this topic. I thank you for that.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me kind of like run with it. Especially for me, this industry was so toxic. And it was so hard
Mhm.
to work within. But the thing is, I really loved my tenants. I know I wasn't the only technician like that. I actually read
Mhm.
letters from technicians all the time who say very similar things that
Mhm.
they feel like they're not allowed to take care of their tenants. Like it's the
Mhm.
same problem that
Mhm.
you're having at all these other jobs around the country, especially right now, where they don't want to pay good enough wages for people. So people don't want to do the
Yeah.
jobs. And a lot of states don't have any laws to who can be a technician. So like in
That's
Wisconsin,
wild.
you I don't need to have a license to be a technician. In Oregon you do. In Oregon you need a handyman license, which is hilarious right on the gate. You know, but like in most states you do not need a license to be a maintenance technician. You don't even need to take a class. Now
That
that's
is
wild.
low-key
That's
terrifying.
uh-huh.
That is wild.
Yeah, that's wild. When I told that to someone, they were like, "How do people get away with that?" And I'm like, "Money." Because you have
Seriously.
238 federal politicians, right? Congressmen and senators who are landlords. So until that changes, we will always have a power imbalance for landlords in this country. So to leave you on that
Mm.
note,
Oh, structures. I am so appreciative for the topics you cover. I love the space you give, the style you bring, and I really want to shout out page 138 or yeah, 183. There we go. Numbers. 183 in your book literally like touched my soul, and I thank you for it. And I think that there's a special place in heaven for you because you are just a really solid human being.
Oh
Really
yeah.
appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Page 183. I know that top of my head. I love that page. That is a great page. I want you to know.
It's one of your emotional resets after the appliances, and you basically let folks know that where they are is the right place for them right now, and that's okay.
Oh.
And that was really important, I think, for me to read when I read it.
Hey,
And it had nothing to do with appliances, and it was great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. That's really sweet of you. Hey, Debbie, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for asking a question that obviously a lot of people needed to hear. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know. I just feel like I have to clarify this. I actually don't hate landlords. I don't think individual landlords are the problem. I think property management companies are. I do think when you
Oh
hoard
yeah.
properties, I think that you need to talk about it. I think that there's definitely. I think we have a problem in this country right now where we have not enough places are letting people live there. I'm not going to say we don't have enough
Mhm.
homes. We got enough homes. We just don't have enough people allowing people to be in those homes. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's so many vacant homes across this country, and there's houseless people everywhere, and they're not being taken care of. I just think there's something wrong with that system. It has been a blast with you. You're such a cool person.
Oh my God, same. Thank you for being part of the Bucktooth Club with me. And
We're bucktooth friends for life.
I actually learned that TP valve is not the toilet paper valve. And yeah, and you actually taught me a lot. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. And I just realized you're wearing a hat. The very last very last minute of this program, I realized you're wearing an MJ the Musical hat. I didn't even catch that until now. all that being said, thank you for coming on the show. Where can people find you if they have fallen in love with you like I have?
You can find me on Instagram at Tenderoni88. Yes, that is the year I was born. And you can also find me on Twitter at Tender_Oni. That is where I bitch about things and talk about my therapist. So if you want to find me there, you can find me there.
I love it. Well, Tenderoni, I appreciate you being here. I wish you the best of luck with your career, and I cannot wait to have you back on at some other point, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, friend. And everybody at home, remember, you're worth the time it takes to learn a new skill. Bye, everybody!
Time it takes to be you. She'll teach you how to fix your house.